No kind of aligning, agreeing, resisting, or reacting. It's just interesting that they think that way, because that's really just the wall of their reality. It has nothing to do with you. So how much judgment would you have to be willing to receive in order to have the life that you would like to have? And whose judgment would you have to be willing to receive? So are you willing to have more ease than everybody around you? Are you willing to inspire the people around you with what you're creating? Because to truly inspire them, you have to run the risk of them not being inspired and going into judgment. But what if that's actually a great kind of gamble to take? Because not only does your life get greater, but you do become the invitation for them to choose more. So one of the things with being money, I would invite you, one thing that you can do to help yourself is to look at what is it that you would like your life to be. And some people like to write lists of the things that they'd like to kind of actualize or manifest. If you do that, you then want to ask questions about what you've written, because it's never really about the things, okay? So if you put on it, for example, I would like a new car, you want to look at, first of all, is that actually true for me? Because a lot of us are a lot more psychic than we think we are. And so when we think we want something, sometimes we're just aware of other people's desires around us and we think that it's ours. And so sometimes when things aren't showing up in our life, it's because we don't really want them. It's somebody else's ask. And the way to know whether that's true, if you do write a list, if you ask the question, do I really want this? If it's light, it's something that you desire. If there's a weird kind of clunkiness or heaviness, you've picked up that desire from somebody else's reality, basically. The other thing you want to do with your list is you want to ask, what is the energy that I would like to add here? Because it's, if, again, like with a car, it's not really about the car. It's about, how does that car make you feel? So if you get the energy of like, okay, like imagining yourself in the car, you know, feeling really good, that's the energy that you're looking for. And if you go through that list and perceive the energies of the different things that you would like your life to be, and it might be that you'd like to travel more. But what is it in the travel that you're looking for? Is it the adventure? Is it the joy of experiencing different things? If you can get the energy of what those things, what it is that you're hoping that those things will bring, you can then pull that energy into your body and into your life. And by doing that exercise, it allows you to get clear about the energy, so that then when you look at the choices that you have in your life, you'll be able to perceive when making one of those choices will contribute to taking you to where you want to go. So you might like have a few different choices, and one of them feels really, really happy, and it reminds you of that feeling that you would get when you're in the new car. And that's because making that choice is the first step to getting you that car. Okay? So the third element, so we've done control, we've done money, power. Are you willing to be powerful? So when you're not willing to be powerful, you do the opposite, which is pathetic. Okay? It's that kind of helpless, no choice universe. And so one of the things you can do to start changing your financial reality is look at, where am I being pathetic? And it's something that, you know, you've got to really kind of be willing to be honest with yourself about. Okay? Because sometimes we don't want to admit to ourselves when we're kind of being less than we are. But if you're willing to, you will see places where where you feel like you have no choice. And that's where you're not acknowledging your power. Okay? Because one of the things about power is the power of choice. So are you willing to be and have the power of choice? So what if even no choice is a choice? So anytime you feel like you've got no choice, the way to get out of it is to ask a question. So what other choices do I have here? Okay, what else is possible? What haven't I considered right now? And if I didn't think that I had no choice, what other choices would I have? Yeah, so someone said, few people feel evil when they have the power. Thank you for saying that. Because it is a big thing for a lot of people. And yet, if you look at people, some people think the same thing about people with money. So they think that people with money are evil. And yet, what if it's really has nothing to do with the money or the power, but the choices that that person makes with the money or with the power? So one of the things I would invite you to look at, if you have the point of view that you feel evil with power, you want to look at, who are you? What if you just have more money, you're still you? What if you don't actually change the core of your being? And if you're a kind person, would that really change if you allowed yourself to have more money? What if it's actually really time for the people who desire kindness and desire a more conscious world to have more money? Okay, so what if it's the people that abuse power? It's time for the others to step up and to choose. Okay, so but the reason why some people get stuck with that is because for people that have grown up in abusive households or have had a very controlling or domineering person around them, often in their mind, they'll subconsciously think that power is what that person has been. So power, they associate the energy of power with abuse. And yet, what if that's not the case? What if you being in your power is actually you being kindness, you being caring? Because the thing is also with creating more money and creating more abundance, a lot of the reasons why people don't create it is because of the points of view they have about themselves and relationships based upon the relationships they've had with their families, or, you know, or friends, or whatever. So if you don't be kind to you, you won't allow yourself to have money. Okay? So not allowing yourself to have money is a way of financially abusing yourself. And so what if you made the demand for more kindness? So true kindness includes you in the kindness. A lot of people try and prove their kindness by being kind to other people and always putting those people first. And that isn't actually kind if you're not including you in the picture. And so what if you were willing to be the demand, okay, I'm going to have a kind reality now. And how much money and how much abundance and how much ease would show up in my life if I actually allow that to be. Now that means being willing to include you in every choice. Every choice you make. Does this work for me? Is this going to create greater? Because the thing is when you include you in every choice, if you're not doing it from resistance and reaction to somebody else, you actually create a world that is greater for the people around you also. So, what if you were willing to allow your relationship with the universe to be everything that you've desired, like the way in which, like, for other people to treat you? Okay? Because often what we do is we project the way that others have treated us onto the universe. So if you had a parent that kind of withdrew from you, or had a bit of rejection towards you, or made you wrong, then sometimes you can have this thing in your head where you think the universe is going to make you wrong or reject you, and then you don't get what you want. So rather than having that as your reality, the way you can change it is by being the question of, if I was allowing the universe to contribute to me beyond any of the relationships that I've had, what would be possible? What could show up? And how much more kindness and caring could be part of my world? So, done 3, so power. So, creativity is the next element. Now, to truly create more abundance, you have to be willing to be the energy of creativity. When you're not willing to be the energy of creativity, you won't get the whispers of awareness of how to create more. You won't necessarily acknowledge that you're creating your reality, and so you'll allow the things around you to create it instead. Okay, so other people's reality will create your reality. Outside events, outside, it ties very much in with the power. So there's power in being willing to be the creativity. And one question you can ask is, what could I create today to allow more money to show up right away? But also, what could I create today for the future? Because often a lot of people function in the today, and maybe they will look at a couple of months forward, But not many people look at 5 to 10 years or more. So what would you like your financial reality to be 5 to 10 years from now? And what would you have to put in place today, or what would you have to create today to make that reality? Because every single choice you make today is what creates your future. Every single choice you've made in the past is what's got you to where you are now. And so if you don't judge yourself for what you've already created, that's where you'll actually allow yourself to be the energy of creativity, okay? It's when we go into the wrongness of us for not having created what we want, that's where we stop what we can be, and we stop the creativity in our life. Okay, so there's a question: what if I have fear when I ask these questions? I would be in the question of, is that fear actually yours? Because what if you're really aware? And how many people in Saudi are afraid of choosing different or being different? So one of the ways you can tell if you're really scared, because what if fear is actually a lie for you? So one of the ways you can tell is if you look at in an emergency situation, are you someone that panics, or are you someone that gets very clear and handles stuff? If you're someone that gets very clear and just handles stuff, the fear is a lie. The fear is somebody else's that you're aware of. In order to create beyond that, you need to be bigger energetically. You need to go beyond the country you're in. You need to go beyond, so closing your eyes and expanding your energy out. So making yourself as big as the room, making yourself as big as the town or city you're in, making yourself as big as the country, making yourself as big as the world, okay? And beyond, go out into space. So the bigger you are energetically, the less other people's emotions will affect you. When you're functioning as big as your body, for example, all of the stuff from everybody else's head feels a lot. Like it feels, oh, I can't take this. And it feels very real. If you're afraid when you're big, again, you want to get bigger. Or you want to expand the fear. Because the thing is because fear is a lie, even if it is your fear, it's actually a lie. Because would an infinite being ever be afraid of anything? What would it be afraid of if it was all energies? And so when you expand a point of view, like just kind of taking the fear and then, okay, I'm gonna expand this to be bigger, 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 it actually disappears. But if you still have if you try those exercises and it's still there, you want to look at whose reality am I not willing to outcreate? And you may start to get some answers, because it might be that sometimes when we have different emotional energies that are kind of sticking us, it's because we're not willing to go beyond like our mum's reality or our dad's reality. And so it's actually their fear. And then we're not sure how to go, like we're not sure how to let it go because they are such significant people in our lives, okay? But if you acknowledge it, if you be in the question, acknowledge it, oh, okay, my father had a lot of anxiety or fear around money. Okay, this is his. then you can choose to let it go. So what if no feeling could stop you? What if everything is just energy? And so what if there was nothing to be afraid of? So the next element is gratitude. Kindness, power, awareness, power, creativity, money, control, awareness. Okay. So to also create more money or abundance, you've got to be willing to be aware. Okay. And awareness, I would like to say, is fun all the time, but it's not. So sometimes awareness is very, very uncomfortable. Okay. So being aware is really being aware of everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. Being aware is being aware of other people's judgments, how they think about you, how they feel about you, what their agendas are. Often in relationships, we cut some of this out. So what a lot of people do with relationships, especially romantic relationships, is they only want to see the good bits. And so they shut off their awareness. And so they'll think, oh, this person's so wonderful, this person's so amazing. But they don't see that this person may also have a tendency to, I don't know, do something that doesn't work for who you are. And so when you're not willing to be aware, this is where you create a wall between you and the universe. No matter what it is, no matter like whether the awareness is about relationships, whether it's about you, whether it's about money, like whatever you're not willing to be aware of will trip you up. Because everything you're not willing to be aware of, you become the effect of, basically. So if we use fear, for example, if you're not willing to be aware that everybody else is fearful, you think that fear is yours, and so you become the effect of it. So what if true power is really the willingness to be aware of everything without a point of view? And this is the key, is practicing that interesting point of view tool. So being willing to be an allowance of what you're aware of, not making it wrong, not making it right, not aligning, agreeing, resisting, or reacting. Just finding it interesting, okay? And expanding out. Because when you're willing to be aware, sometimes what will happen, if you're on this journey of self-improvement or personal development, you'll have these times where your awareness will suddenly expand a lot. And sometimes your allowance won't have caught up. So you'll be aware of all these things and you'll be like, this is too much. What you need to do in those times is ask for your allowance to catch up to your awareness. Okay? So what if you could be aware of everything without having a point of view? When you're willing to be aware of everything, that's when the universe can give you the information as to what is required for you to make more money or for you to create more money. So it may be that there's particular investments that will come into your world based upon you being willing to receive that awareness. Okay? Now, awareness in your mind is very different to thoughts. Thoughts have a density to them. They have a solidity. They feel very real. Awareness is like a whisper that will kind of waft, and it can be very faint in your mind, like just a passing thought. What you want to do is start training your brain to paying attention to those wafts, because it's, if you follow those whispers and ignore the real dense thoughts, that is what will allow you to create a greater life. So,
hi, sweetie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, darling. You look so beautiful. Hi, sweetie. I got a couple questions over here.
Awesome.
All right. Let's do this. Albab, mom. Albab. Oh. How can I? Oh, there are many of them. Okay. How can I get rid of my beliefs about money? All those blockages or blockages. Yeah. That's the first one.
So you can, it's actually like the willingness to be aware that can change it. So if you become aware, this is what's going on. So it's asking the question, and then you'll start to receive information as to, if you're willing to be present with yourself. When you're willing to be present and vulnerable, which means having no walls, no barriers to you, not fighting against yourself, the information will come. And when the information comes, it's actually just the choice, more than anything, for you to let it go. So a lot of people make their subconscious and the limitations more powerful than they are. What if that's not true? What if power, like the power of choice, is the most powerful thing? That said, bars classes are amazing. Access bars classes, if you can do that in Saudi. I'm not sure if you can do that. Yep. That allows the points of view to shift out of your body also, because we can have things within our subconscious mind, and then we can also lock things in our body. And so that allows our bodies to start receiving more as well.
Next one, please.
Yep.
He says, how can I create more money with total ease without limitation, and how can I delegate this creativity energy toward my work, and how can this allow me to get more money?
Cool. So it starts with, it depends on the kind of work that you're doing. It is very much the choice. So, okay, more money is going to show up. Universe, show me how to make this happen. Okay. Then being in the question, universe, what is it going to take for more money to show up? Now, the trick is to not place a time frame on it, because a lot of people will try and change their financial reality, but they get impatient, and then they start judging that, oh, this hasn't changed fast enough, this hasn't changed, this hasn't worked. And sometimes when you ask the universe for something, a lot of things have to be rearranged, and that can take a little bit of time for the new to come in. And so you ask the question and be the question of what it's going to take for more money to show up, without having a time frame, without having an attachment of how it's going to show up. Okay? Because that's the other thing that people tend to do, is they decide that they need more money, like maybe a promotion or something. What else could you add to your life? Because that's part of being creativity. And if you look at people that have a lot of money, they don't just have one source of money. They have lots of revenue streams. So another question you can ask is, what other revenue streams can I add to my life? Two other things there. Money follows joy. Okay? So if you want more abundance and more money, start to have more fun. What could you create that would be fun for you, that would allow more money to show up in your life? Okay? And the other thing is in order to create money, gratitude is so important. If you look at people that don't have a lot of money, that aren't willing to change, a lot of the time they complain a lot. They're not able to be very grateful. And if you can be grateful for what shows up, even if it's the smallest thing, the more you start to be gratitude, the more the universe will bring in things for you to be grateful for. Because gratitude is actually an element of creation, and judgment and gratitude cannot exist in the same universe. So the more grateful you are for you, the more you won't judge you, and the more then the points of view you have dissolve. And then the more can show up, the bigger the life you can have. So start asking the question, what would it take for me to be more grateful for everything in my life? And see if that starts to change some things.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I live in regret about things that happened. Things that I didn't use in the right way. What can I do with this regret? I'm so tired. How can I allow this past to exist, and how can I accept what happened and my past without regret or self-blaming?
There is a great book called Living Beyond Distraction by Gary Douglas and Dane Here that you might want to read, because some of what you're talking about is programs designed to stop you from creating. And so that book will give you more clarity about that whole dynamic. But you also can ask the question, what's right about this that I'm not getting? Because what we tend to do with regret is we've judged the choice we've made as wrong. And as an infinite being, would you ever make a wrong choice? So what you want to look at is, what is the gift of this situation? What is it that you learned from your past? Because it may be just that you made a choice, it didn't create what you wanted, and now you know that that's not what you wanted. So if you're willing to actually look at it from that point of view, then, and again, like, start looking at the gratitude. Okay, well, what would it take for me to be more grateful for me? Then you can start to dissolve where you're kind of making yourself wrong and holding yourself in that. Because what if right now, in every single moment, you have the chance of a reset? You can actually choose to create a greater future. The only way you can do that is if you stop making your past more powerful than the present moment. So it's the willingness to really step into that power of choice.
Okay, Genevieve, I think we can continue talking about you stopped, I think, at the point of awareness.
Yeah, sorry, Galia, what did you say?
So I was saying, I'm reminding you to continue talking. You were talking about the 4 awareness, last point.
Yes. So yeah, so it's really it's really with awareness, it's really being willing to follow what is light. When you're willing to be aware of everything and not have a point of view, you can always have that space, okay? Like just space. And from space, you can create what it is that you'd like. Nothing, if you're willing to be totally aware without having a point of view, you begin to not be able to be controlled by anyone because you're a million steps ahead. You know everybody's agendas. You become the one in charge of the chessboard, so to speak. So it's kind of like all of these different elements kind of entwine with each other, where it's kind of hard to totally be one of them without being the other. Because to be truly aware, you have to be willing to be powerful, and you have to be willing to be the energy of control. When you're not willing to be the energy of control, you'll shut down your awareness of everything that is controlling you, or that you've decided controls you. When you're not willing to be powerful, you'll shut down your awareness around things that have decided they're more powerful than you, and then you become the effect of that. So awareness is like such a huge key to creating greater, but it is uncomfortable. How you can be awareness, I mean, it is a journey. It's a journey. It's a choice every day. It's using questions. So being the question, not just asking questions, it's being the question, okay? So there's a big difference between thinking a question and truly wondering something. So the more you wonder about things, the more information you receive, and the more then you can know what choice is going to create more. Another thing you want to be aware of is, and maybe you've heard this tool before, but being in the question of when you're making choices, asking, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? What will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? Now, 5 years is too far in the future usually for it to be set. So you won't necessarily see or hear anything, but you'll perceive an energy. And one of those choices will feel lighter than the other. One of them might feel more joyful, more spacious. And so that's part of being aware also, is if you use that tool with every choice you make, you'll start to create a reality where each choice makes your world get bigger. And that is being awareness also. And it's really an amazing tool to use. So is there a difference between asking and wondering? Yeah, so that is what I just explained. I just feel being aware controls me. How to be aware without judging. Okay, so it is being that interesting point of view, but also one of the things that comes with awareness is the awareness of everybody else's judgments. Okay, so when you're walking down the street and you look at someone, if you're aware, you will start to be aware of all of the judgments that other people have had of this person, or that this person has of themselves, that they've not been willing to receive, that is sticking to them. If you're not willing to be aware, you assume you're the one doing the judging. And then if you're like me, what you'll do is then make yourself wrong. Go, oh, I'm such a horrible person, I'm judging this person, which is what I used to do in the past. If you're willing to be aware, you'll acknowledge, oh, these are all other people's judgments that I'm aware of about this person. Do I actually have a point of view here? No. So the more you're willing to be aware, the more you don't actually have to resist and react or align and agree to anything that you're aware of. You can also ask the question, anytime you are aware of something that is causing resistance and reaction in your world, you can ask the question, what is beyond this? What would it take for me to have ease with this? Okay, because anything that we think is sticking us is only sticking us because we haven't been willing to go beyond it. So what is beyond this? If I don't judge, how can I choose? Cool. So it sounds like what you've done there is, like, a lot of people think that judgment is awareness, basically, that it is the way to choose. It's not. So one thing you can do is ask, what is, like, be in the question yourself of, well, universe, show me the difference between choosing and judgment. Okay, because choice is actually, well, okay, here we go. So choice is actually something that is so fast, so fast. It's something that we do without, like, we choose to get dressed in the morning, we choose to brush our teeth. It's something that we don't actually think about, we just choose. There are other choices that we make more significant, but judgment has more of a density to it. So judgment never creates more. Judgment is something that will always limit and stifle and separate you from your power, you from other people. Choice can create more depending on the choice you make. Yeah, so could you please explain more on the wondering part? You know how, like, little kids, like around the age of 3, you know how they kind of ask a lot of questions, but with the asking lots of questions, they'll kind of stop and kind of really, like, wonder. Like, it's different to, as adults, once we've gone through school, where we are trained to kind of think all the time, and that's very much different to being that wonderment of a child. So if you can remember what being a child was like and start to ask, okay, what would it take for me to have that wonderment back? It's kind of like being the question, but with all of your energy, rather than it just being kind of like this, like something that just doesn't have a lot of substance. The thoughts don't have a lot of substance. When you're thinking a question, it's not quite the same as like having your whole energy behind it. What is it truly going to take for more money to show up? What is it truly going to take for me to have the life that I really desire? So you could choose without thinking, yes, with all of your being. It's being like all of the energy of you. So a lot of people, like, especially if you've done a lot of study and like someone that analyzes a lot of people tend to have a lot of their energy all up in their mind, and they're not really being everything that they are. So when you're being something, that's when you're willing to be more, that's when you can create a bigger life. Okay. So you actually want to get to a place of the less you can think and the more you can actually be, the greater the life gets. And I know that might sound like a very kind of confusing thing to understand. And that is because you can't understand it. Because when you're trying to understand something, you're functioning from the computer of your mind. And what I'm trying to get you guys to is going beyond that. Because if you want to create a reality that's truly greater, you have to be willing to go beyond the computer hard drive of your mind. Okay? And this is how you do it. The more you can be in wonderment, the more you can be in question, the more aware you can be, the more you're willing to be the power of choice, be control, but also be out of control, and trust that you have your back, trust the universe has your back, be willing to create whatever it takes to have more, and to be willing to have no point of view about money, and to be that energy, the greater your life can get. So, any other questions before we start to wind this down?
Let me see if I can see some questions over there.
I have a cool question over here.
Yes.
She says, when and how can I feel it? I mean, definitely, when can I perceive abundance in my life and to allow it to continue? When and how?
Ask. So anytime something shows up that actually is working, acknowledge it. The key is first acknowledging. Okay. So, wow, look what I just created. Thanks, universe. The gratitude. And then, universe, what would it take for more of this to show up? How does it get any better? How much greater? If I can actualize this, if I can manifest this, what else can I create? What else can show up? Cool. So any other?
Someone is asking about waiting and expectations.
Yep.
What to do with that?
Okay, so waiting, create more. Okay, because when you're in a place of waiting, you actually slow down the manifestation. So the more because when you're waiting and when you've got an expectation, you've attached to that outcome. And what that does is it blocks all the other ways that the universe can bring in something. Okay, so the more you can detach, the more faster it can show up. But to do that, the best way of detaching is to have your mind focused on other things. Okay, so create, keep yourself busy. What else can you create? What else can you add to your life?
So she's asking, what's the difference between abundance with money and abundance with stuff like houses, a house, a car, a gift, etc.?
The only difference is the point of view that you have about it. So the universe, like if you look at the universe just being energy, what if, like, for the universe, there is no difference between actualizing, I don't know, like a coin and a house? What if it's only our points of view about how much harder, how much bigger that house is to manifest that creates it being harder? So the less points of view about, and if you want to create like more, like abundance should be, if you want an abundant life, that isn't necessarily going to be about money. Money is just the source in order to, or the tool in order to create the abundant life. Because having a lot of money in the bank, it isn't actually that exciting. So it's like you've got to go beyond that to look at what is it that I want to, what is it that I would like my life to be? If you make it about the money, once you get the money, you'll then destroy your money flows because it's never the answer. So you do need to be willing to look at, okay, what is it that I truly desire? What is it that creates joy and fun for me? What is it that lights me up? Okay. And it's only then that things can kind of expand and then expand and expand, expand, expand. If you make it about money, it won't be enough. It won't be enough for you. So asking for money, and that's where that exercise of writing everything down and then getting the energy behind things, that allows you to like actualize the money for things, but it's not making the money the significant thing. Okay. Hopefully that answers that.
Excellent. Someone asked, how can she be like you?
Aw. Practice using these tools, practice using questions. The more you can be in question, the more you commit to yourself. So commit to your life, commit to being kind to you and creating a kind world. But also, what is the gift of you that you're not acknowledging? So what is the, because we're all kind of like snowflakes. We've all got this unique difference, and we all are such a contribution to this planet when we're willing to include us in our choices, when we're willing to actually be the magic of us, and we're willing to create more and to be kind and to be aware and conscious. So what is the gift of you for all of you? What is the gift of you that you've not been acknowledging? What is great about you that you've not been acknowledging? Because if you start to be that question, you'll start to notice things about you that you maybe haven't noticed before. It will allow the kindness you have for you to grow, and that will build the kindness that the universe can be with you, and it will create more. Okay?
That's amazing, Genevieve. I really would like for us to have more of this. How does it get any better than this, and what's else possible? So
Yeah.
gratitude. I can see that over, I think, 140, 150 people on both Zooms were here. So,
Wow. Thank you, guys.
so,
Oh.
so I'm really happy. I have received a lot, and I hope everyone have received as well. Thank you so much, and thank you for waking up at 6:30 there, no?
Oh, thank you. It's been like, yeah, it's been such a pleasure, guys, and I'm really grateful that all of you like showed up, because it was late in your nighttime as well. So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, let's chat and we'll organize something else.
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Have a
Cool.
great day.
All right.
Thank you, Ghalia. Thank you, Genevieve. There's a lot of gratitude over here for you in Arabic. They're like shukran, shukran, shukran. So shukran, Genevieve, and shukran, Ghalia. I'm so grateful to everyone over here.
Thank you. Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.